Hey everybody, Dmitry here. I'm the Australian wine buyer here at 67 Wine. I also work with the Bordeaux section, the Alsace section, and take care of Hungarian wines for the store. Today, however, we're going to be AAA, all about Australia. And this is a very exciting section. The wine market for Australian wine in this country has sort of gone through a bit of a dip, and I think it's really back on the upswing now, particularly because most people are taking care to diversify the section to kind of get away from just big, explosive, super fruity Australian Shiraz, although there's still a place for it. And a couple of the wines here are, in fact, that very classic Australian style. A couple of my favorites recently have been the St. Hallett Faith Shiraz, sourced from the Barossa Valley. St. Hallett's a well-established winery. They've been around for about 30 years, 40 years actually. Thomas Goss Shiraz is another great value and a very, very typically Aussie Shiraz, made by Ben Riggs. This one comes from the McLaren Vale. Also from the McLaren Vale, a second label of the very famous hedonist line. This is called the Moon Vine, a reference to the biodynamic practices employed at the estate. Walter Klappis is the head of the winery there at the Hedonist, and the Moonvine is a second label that's made by his daughter Kimberly Klappis, and it is a Shiraz Cabernet and Merlot blend. It really comes together very well, has this great kind of slightly roasted character that's very typical of McLaren Vale, but no new oak used, so mostly just the just the fruit characteristics coming across in that wine. Moving on, we have some slightly unexpected offerings from Down Under. First, the Cabernet from Ringbolt Winery. This Cabernet comes not from the eastern part of Australia, not from Victoria or South Australia, but actually comes from Margaret River, which is Western Australia, and it's sort of right on the coast, hugging the coast, where the Indian Ocean and the Pacific Ocean meet. And the climate there can be kind of harsh. The terrain can be pretty harsh, pretty rugged, but it makes for great Cabernet, and this particular one has a very European, very structured aesthetic to it. Great red fruit, iron, maybe even a little tar, great concentration, sort of a new world energy, but a very old world feel and very old world flavor profile. Another nod to the old world comes to us from a winery called Route du Vin. Little play on words there. This is a Dolcetto Shiraz blend, Dolcetto comprising 70% of the blend. As many of you know, Dolcetto is native to Piemonte in Italy. And this is just a great, very food-friendly, very bright, juicy kind of wine. Again, not an offering that you would expect coming from Down Under, but great nonetheless, and refreshingly different, I think. Moving along to another grape variety that has been around in Australia for quite a while, but doesn't really get a whole lot of press around here and doesn't get into the spotlight nearly as much as Shiraz, and that's Grenache, another great Rhone varietal. And this particular wine, the Alumba Bushvine Grenache, is a 100% Grenache, sourced from vines that are at least 35 years old, some as much as 70 years old. And of course, old vines, what does that do? That gives us great concentration, yields less fruit, but the fruit that it does yield is more intense. And this is a perfectly balanced, very well made, medium to full body Grenache. Lots of nods to the Rhone in terms of style, in terms of feel. Has this great kind of background herbal spicy character that I think can only come from great old vines in the Barossa. Finally, one of the big boys, and we are coming back to straight Shiraz here, the Dead Arm from D'Arenberg. Now, Dead Arm refers to actually a vine disease. It's a slow dieback of one of the vine arms, and as this happens, the vine yields less and less every year. The yields, however, are super concentrated, super intense, and that's kind of the story here. Instead of ripping out these vines and replanting, the D'Arenberg winery has left a plot of these slowly decaying vines and bottle up the fruit every year to give the Dead Arm Shiraz. It's big, it's rich, it's powerful, and it can stick around for a while. These age really, really well. So that's a little bit of what we've got going on in the Australian section today. There are also some great white wines that I haven't talked about, but if you shoot me an email or come by to the store and see me, I can point out some of those. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next time.